any great secret, adult learners or potential learners are not beating down the doors of community-based programs or community college programs. And I guess the question I have for you is, how do you convince those 40% of Nova Scotians that they need to engage in learning? Since part of the problem is nearly 2/3 of them might not even identify themselves as having a literacy issue. So who wants to tackle that one? Joan? I see you. I see the hand moving.
Ladies or gentlemen.
I think that this goes back to something I touched on earlier. Mm-hmm. But, and this goes back also to who pays. If being literate is actually the functional base for our province, then we have a responsibility to help every employer make sure, as Scott puts it, there's a guaranteed skill level. And we haven't even conceptualized such a notion in Nova Scotia, I don't think. And so I think that there's a tremendous amount of work to be done with people who are employed, who are earning a living, who are essentially underemployed, who don't recognize that the train is coming. And it has long since left the station, and their job is at jeopardy. And it may not be in jeopardy because of an economic downturn, but it's in jeopardy because the piece of equipment that they're working on is about to change, and they will not be able to read the manual, they will not be able to do the math required to now run it. And so, to state the obvious, I think there's tremendous opportunities for the college and the skills and learning branch to work with employers to help them look at what do they want. We're a capitalist society. What do employers want? Better business, more efficiency. I had a conversation with an employer who came to the college who said, I need help in essential skills, something we do very well and very quickly. And he said, I want to tell you why I'm coming, because I kept hiring people and putting them in my manufacturing plant. And then I tracked waste for a year, and it cost me $200,000 to have these people in my plant because they weren't able to read. And he said, so I will spend my money for you to help them so that I don't have to spend $200,000 a year in waste. I can spend $100,000 a year in education and be, 50% of my profit right there, right? And so to get more employers looking at what the cost on the plant floor is of not being able to read and do math. And it's not easy. But I want to go back to my wheel. We have recognition for prior learning in place. We have the skills and learning branch doing amazing triage work when people are laid off. We have the college system, and we have a cadre of extraordinary literacy educators who are professional in this province. And we have employers who can see the horizon but might not have the information on how to get to that horizon. It's that last piece I think we need to work on.
Stu?
You tie the occupation to the learning, not the learning to the occupation. And by doing that, you're able to get across all your points without saying to Joe Brown, you don't have the literacy levels you need, so you know to get back to school. Well, if I say that to Joe, you all know what his reaction inside his head is and his heart, So, Joe, I'd like you to become a CCA worker is a whole lot different conversation. We're going to put you in that program. And by the way, we're going to give you your high school while we do it. You vary it in there. I think that's a major attractor. The school board's represented in the room, but nevertheless, I'll say this because I know the Deputy of Education agrees with me. Many of the people who drop out of high school do so because they just weren't engaged. Yeah. And the way they weren't engaged, the way you knew they weren't engaged was because they were big behavioral problems. So the way to deal with the behavioral problems is get them out of the school. And don't ever get it wrong. That's exactly what's going on. Get them out of the school. So there's that piece of it. And then there's the piece that the gentleman from the school board alluded to. We graduate 90% of the folks who go in at the bottom. Graduate them at what? Like, at what? At what level? Do we know? Do we have a sense? Are we putting the adapted programs, are they delivering something to the marketplace? Or are they doing things that support individuals socially when they get out of the high school system? Or are they just falling through the cracks? And my hypothesis to you is there's a giant crack. And a lot of these folks are falling into it. So there's many, many different pieces about how you attract those individuals back into the system. I think, Karen, help me out a little bit here. The average age at NASAL is 27, 26? 27? Okay. So 27 years of age. That's 9, 8 years out of high school. I mean, from the point that you should be graduating from high school. So they will come back if you give them the right venue in the right place with the right attractor. We can go to Phoenix House, and I'm really focused here a little bit on the youth as my illustration, but we can go to Phoenix House and deliver programming in the high school, which we're doing at the high school level in Phoenix House. But if you went in there, you wouldn't call it a classroom, not as you formally know it, you know, with all the chairs in a row and everybody sitting at a desk, and you know, kids get up and go, and they're sitting in, you know, comfy sofa chairs. And, you know, it's not traditional. Get over it. It doesn't need to be traditional. Most folks in the province would not be aware that any student with a very minimum level of circumstances can challenge any high school graduation exam at any level. So if you're in high school at grade 10, you can challenge a grade 12 course if you think you can get through it. Now, what if we actually operationalized that? What if we actually said to kids who were disengaged and all the rest of it, if you can get it together in your own way and challenge the exam and get through it, I'm okay with that. That's a real change in how we think about the education system. Huh? What an incentive.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's my point. What an incentive. Sorry.
Rick, do you have something to add there?
Oh, sure. No, I think, and since we're skip question two, I have to give a little plug. I had the benefit of working with our literacy coordinator, who's been out of work now for about 2 years, and we were successful in getting some funding. Linda Wenzel's with us now, and she's been marvelous on our program, and we'll be carrying on for 2 more years, and hopefully longer than that. But you know, one thing that I've learned through life, both representing and working with workers, but also through our literacy program, and I think we have to find a way to destigmatize literacy. I think it's a real issue. When I talked about these thousands of workers in Nova Scotia that have been displaced after working at a very, very good job, after providing for families, and I think we have to do is to, and Stu hit on it, I think, is that we have to, and I don't mean disguise it, because I mean, it's just, I think we have to use a different approach, different terminology, and where we're going. And I think it's that we're providing opportunities.